Discover timeless principles for success, growth, and change. Let these powerful words from Dr. Myles Munroe guide you into purpose, vision, and transformation. This is more than a message, it's a journey for your life.
Today, I want to take you on a journey to understand what happens when you fully surrender to God's plan, and why that surrender is the greatest act of strength and faith you will ever make. When you truly surrender to God's plan, something profound begins to happen in your life. Surrender is not just a simple act of giving up or resignation. It is a deliberate choice to release your own ideas, your own agenda, and your own control over the path you want to take. It is the moment when you stop resisting what God wants to do in your life and start cooperating with His divine purpose. This act of surrender is the gateway to fulfilling the destiny that God has already prepared specifically for you. Most people live their lives trying to force their own plans, trying to shape their future according to their own desires and limited understanding. They plan, they strategize, they hustle, and they push. But often their plans clash with God's timing and His vision for them. When you hold tightly to your own plans, you close the door to the greater, more perfect plan that God has designed. It's like trying to drive a car while holding the steering wheel in a way that keeps you stuck in a ditch. You're exerting effort, but you're not moving forward. Surrendering is stepping out of that stuck place and letting God take the wheel. It is saying, I will trust your direction, not my own. When you surrender, you acknowledge that God's understanding and wisdom far exceeds your own. Your plans are limited by your experience, your knowledge, and your perspective, but God's plan is limitless, rooted in eternity and perfect love. This shift in perspective is critical because it marks the beginning of transformation. You stop trying to control every detail, and you start allowing God's hand to guide your steps. In that moment, you open yourself up to a purpose far greater than anything you could have imagined on your own. This surrender does not mean that you become passive or indifferent. On the contrary, it requires faith and action. You actively choose to align your heart and will with God's. You move forward with confidence, even when the path isn't clear, because you know that you are walking in obedience to a higher purpose. Your efforts become empowered because they are no longer in vain or misdirected. They are infused with divine intention. Your labor, your sacrifices, your dreams all begin to work together as part of God's master plan unfolding through you. When you stop fighting your own plans, you experience peace. Fighting your own plans creates tension, anxiety, and frustration because you are constantly battling against the current of God's perfect timing. But surrender brings rest. It is the relief of finally realizing that you don't have to carry the burden alone. You are no longer the sole architect of your destiny. You are a co-laborer with God, and this partnership is powerful beyond measure. Moreover, when you surrender, you become more sensitive to God's voice. You learn to hear His guidance through prayer, through scripture, and through the circumstances that surround you. You develop a spiritual intuition that helps you discern the right opportunities and avoid pitfalls. You begin to see doors open and close in ways that confirm you are on the right path. This clarity is a direct result of surrender because it aligns your spirit with God's purpose, enabling you to walk confidently and decisively. Surrender also brings about humility. It teaches you to depend not on your own strength or wisdom, but on God's. This humility is not weakness. It is the foundation of true greatness. It positions you to receive divine favor, blessings, and supernatural provision that you could never earn or manufacture on your own. When you surrender, you are acknowledging that God is the author of your destiny, and you are simply the vessel through which His plan is carried out. Surrender is the key that unlocks your unique purpose. God has a specific destiny for you, a plan that no one else can fulfill in the way you can. When you surrender fully, you begin to walk in that destiny with power and authority. You start to see the fruits of your life's purpose manifest in your relationships, your work, and your impact on the world around you. It is in surrender that you step into the fullness of who God created you to be. When you practice total surrender, something remarkable takes place within your spirit. Clarity begins to dawn where before there was confusion and doubt. This clarity is not just about understanding facts or gaining knowledge. It is a divine revelation that opens your spiritual eyes to see God's perfect blueprint for your life. When you hold on tightly to control, your vision is clouded by fear, anxiety, and limited human understanding. But when you release that grip and fully surrender, you create space for God's wisdom to illuminate your path. Most people struggle because they try to navigate life through their own reasoning and human logic. They want to control every outcome, micromanage every detail, and anticipate every obstacle. This kind of control, however, often blinds them from seeing the bigger picture, the divine plan that is unfolding behind the scenes. It's like looking through a fogged-up window, trying to make out shapes and directions, but never quite seeing the full landscape. Total surrender clears that fog. It is the act of saying, I don't need to understand everything right now, but I trust that God's plan is perfect. Letting go of control is not easy. It challenges our natural instincts to protect ourselves and our futures. But surrender is a declaration of faith. A faith that God's timing is perfect and that His plan is flawless. Once you make this choice, you start to experience a shift in perspective. What once seemed like random events, delays, or setbacks suddenly begin to fit together like pieces of a divine puzzle. Situations that felt confusing become understandable, and decisions that were once overwhelming now come with a sense of peace and certainty. This divine clarity also works in your heart and mind. When you surrender, the anxiety of not knowing diminishes because you trust the one who holds the future. Instead of wrestling with doubt and second-guessing yourself, you become rooted in confidence. Confidence that God's plan will unfold exactly as it should. This confidence allows you to move forward boldly, even when the full picture isn't visible yet. Spiritually, surrender opens your eyes to God's voice in new and profound ways. You begin to recognize His guidance through subtle impressions, timely words, and unexpected opportunities. Your spiritual sensitivity sharpens, enabling you to discern truth from confusion and to avoid distractions that lead you off course. You learn to differentiate between your own fears and God's direction, walking in alignment with the divine will rather than your limited human understanding. Furthermore, divine clarity brings peace. When you surrender control, the pressure of having to figure everything out by yourself lifts off your shoulders. Instead of carrying the heavy burden of uncertainty, you rest in the assurance that God's plan is being worked out for your good. This peace guards your heart and mind, even in the midst of challenges and storms, because you know you are walking according to God's perfect design. Total surrender also helps you to recognize the opportunities and blessings that God places along your path. Sometimes, when you hold too tightly to your own agenda, you miss doors that God is opening, or fail to appreciate the lessons He is teaching you through trials. But surrender sharpens your awareness. You become more attentive to God's orchestration in your life and more willing to follow where He leads, even if it means stepping out of your comfort zone. Total surrender is the key that unlocks divine clarity. It transforms confusion into understanding, fear into faith, and uncertainty into peace. When you let go of control and place your trust fully in God's hands, you gain a clear vision of His perfect plan, a vision that empowers you to walk confidently in your purpose, knowing that every step you take is directed by the one who sees the end from the beginning. Surrender is often misunderstood as weakness, something passive, or a sign of giving up. But nothing could be further from the truth. True surrender is one of the greatest demonstrations of strength a person can exhibit. It takes immense courage and inner power to lay down your own will and submit fully to God's will. To surrender means to walk boldly by faith, even when the path is uncertain, rather than relying solely on what you can see or understand with your natural eye. Many people resist surrender because they equate control with strength. They think holding tightly to their own plans, decisions, and ambitions shows power. But in reality, clinging to control often reveals fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and fear of losing autonomy. Real strength is not in control, but in trust. It takes a powerful heart to say, "Not my will, but yours be done," and mean it with every fiber of your being. When you surrender, you are making a conscious decision to obey God's leadership rather than your own impulses. This obedience is not easy because it means relinquishing your personal preferences and comfort zones. It means facing the unknown with confidence, knowing that God's wisdom surpasses your understanding. This kind of surrender demands faith. Faith to step into uncertainty. Faith to keep moving when you don't see the full picture. And faith to trust that God's plan is better than anything you could design yourself. Surrender in obedience also carries power because it aligns you with divine authority. When you walk in submission to God, you are not walking alone. You are walking under the guidance and protection of the Almighty. This obedience releases supernatural strength into your life. Strength to overcome challenges, strength to endure trials, and strength to fulfill your purpose. The power of surrender is a spiritual power that transcends human ability. It is the power of God working through you when you say yes to His plan. Moreover, surrender requires humility, and humility itself is a form of spiritual strength. It takes courage to admit that you don't have all the answers, that your own ways are limited, and that you need God's direction. This humility breaks down pride, which is often the biggest obstacle to experiencing God's fullness in your life. By surrendering, you acknowledge that God is sovereign and that His ways are higher than yours. This humble posture invites His favor and grace into your life in ways that pride never can. Walking by faith, not by sight, is the essence of surrender's power. Faith is not a blind leap, but a confident trust in God's promises and character. It is the ability to move forward, even when circumstances look impossible or confusing. When you surrender, you choose faith over fear, hope over doubt, and obedience over rebellion. This choice itself is a declaration of strength, an act that sets you apart as someone who is willing to trust the invisible hand of God rather than the visible struggles around you. Surrender also empowers you to overcome resistance. When you submit your will to God, you break the chains of self-will and pride that keep you stuck in the same place. You release the energy wasted on fighting against God's plan and redirect it toward fulfilling your divine purpose. This redirection fuels progress and breakthrough. Because you are no longer pushing against the current, you are flowing with God's river of purpose and power. Surrender is not the absence of strength, but the highest expression of it. It takes boldness to trust completely, to obey consistently, and to walk faithfully in the unseen. When you embrace surrender, you tap into a power far greater than your own, a power that transforms your life, empowers your journey, and establishes you firmly in the path God has set for you. When you fully surrender to God's plan, you open yourself to a reality that far exceeds anything your mind can conceive. Human imagination is limited by experience, circumstance, and the boundaries of what you have seen or been through. But God's plan is not confined by your past, your fears, or your understanding. It is vast, expansive, and filled with blessings and opportunities that go beyond what you could ever dream or imagine. Surrendering to God is like opening a door to a world where possibilities are endless and miracles are the norm. Too often, people try to live their lives based on what they think is possible. They plan according to what they believe they can achieve, constrained by their own limitations and the limitations of their environment. This mindset keeps them small and stuck, trapped in a cycle of limited vision. But God's plan operates on a different level. It breaks through every ceiling and shatters every limitation. When you surrender, you stop setting boundaries on what God can do and start trusting that His plan is bigger and better than anything you can design. Surrender unlocks access to divine blessings that you would never find by striving in your own strength. These blessings are not always material or immediate. Sometimes they come as peace, wisdom, favor, or supernatural provision that guides you through difficult seasons. Because God's plan is perfect, it is always timed right and tailored specifically for you. It is not a one-size-fits-all solution, but a customized design that takes into account your unique gifts, challenges, and destiny. When you surrender, you also tap into opportunities that you may never have considered or noticed before. God begins to open doors that you didn't even know existed. Doors to new relationships, new ideas, new callings, and new breakthroughs. These opportunities might seem unexpected or even uncomfortable, but they are stepping stones in the greater plan God has for your life. Holding on to your own plans often blinds you to these divine openings because your focus is narrow, but surrender expands your vision to see beyond the immediate and obvious. Moreover, God's plan is better because it is rooted in His infinite wisdom and love. Your plans might be limited by what seems good or convenient, but God's plan is always designed for your ultimate good, your growth, and your eternal impact. Sometimes what God gives you might not look like success in the world's eyes, but it is perfect for shaping your character and positioning you for future greatness. Surrender is trusting that what God has prepared is far superior to what you can conceive, even if it looks different from what you expected. Surrendering also means you stop comparing your journey with others. When you cling to your own vision, you might feel jealous or discouraged because you don't see immediate results or because others seem to be progressing faster. But when you surrender, you accept that God's timing and plan for your life are unique and tailored specifically for you. This acceptance frees you from envy and frustration and allows you to focus fully on the blessings and opportunities God is providing for you. Surrender opens you to a life that is far richer, fuller, and more purposeful than you ever dreamed possible. It allows you to step out of the small box of your imagination and into the vast arena of God's unlimited plan. When you trust God completely and let go of your own limited understanding, you position yourself to receive not only what you need, but more than you ever hoped for. This is the incredible reality of surrender. God's plan is always bigger, better, and beyond your imagination. When you fully surrender to God's plan, you open the door to supernatural favor and divine protection that goes beyond anything you can earn or achieve on your own. This surrender is not simply about giving up control. It is about positioning yourself under the hand of God, where His blessings and shield become active forces in your life. Favor and protection are two powerful realities that accompany obedience to God's will, guiding you through both trials and triumphs with a strength that cannot be explained by human effort alone. Favor is more than just luck or chance. It is a divine advantage that puts you in the right place at the right time, connects you with the right people, and provides unexpected resources when you need them most. When you yield your will to God, you invite this favor into your life because God delights in blessing those who trust Him completely. This favor can open doors that were previously locked, smooth the way through difficult situations, and cause opportunities to come your way that seem impossible from a natural perspective. Protection is another vital aspect of surrendering to God's plan. Life is filled with challenges, opposition, and unseen dangers, but when you walk in obedience, God's protection surrounds you like a shield. This divine protection guards your mind, your body, your relationships, and your purpose. It does not always mean you will be exempt from difficulties, but it ensures that no harm or setback will derail the plan God has for you. You are covered by His grace and power, able to stand firm even when storms rage around you. Surrendering to God also means that you are aligned with His timing and His purposes, which invites a peace that transcends circumstances. When you trust God fully, you don't have to fear the trials because you know they are part of the process and you have divine backing through them. This peace comes from the assurance that God's favor and protection are actively working in your life, empowering you to overcome obstacles and emerge stronger on the other side. In moments of triumph, surrender allows you to give God the glory and remain humble, keeping your heart aligned with His will. This humility ensures that favor continues to flow because God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. By continually surrendering, you maintain a close relationship with God that keeps His favor and protection operative in every season. Surrender unlocks a divine partnership where you are not walking alone. God's favor guides your steps, and His protection secures your path. This supernatural support enables you to face life's challenges with confidence and to celebrate victories with gratitude, knowing that your life is held in the hands of a loving, powerful God who will never leave you or forsake you. When you surrender fully to God's plan, the transformation that takes place in your life goes far beyond temporary changes. It touches the very core of who you are and shapes the legacy you leave behind. Full surrender is the beginning of a profound journey that moves you from living for yourself to living in alignment with God's eternal purpose. This transformation affects every area of your life, your character, your relationships, your decisions, and ultimately creates a legacy that will impact not only your generation but those that come after you. A transformed life begins when you stop trying to live by your own understanding and start embracing God's vision for your existence. Full surrender means you allow God to mold, shape your values, and redirect your desires so that they reflect His will. This process is often challenging because it requires you to let go of old habits, selfish ambitions, and the comfort of familiar ways. But through surrender, God works to refine your character, teaching you patience, humility, integrity, and love. Qualities that define a life of true purpose. The transformation that comes from surrender also gives you a new perspective on success and significance. Instead of measuring your worth by worldly standards, wealth, status, or acclaim, you begin to see your life through the lens of God's kingdom. Your purpose becomes about serving others, fulfilling God's calling, and making a meaningful difference. This shift reorients your priorities and empowers you to live with intention and passion, knowing that your life has eternal value. As your life transforms, so does your influence. Full surrender enables you to become a vessel through which God's blessings flow to others. Your testimony, your wisdom, and your example become a source of encouragement and inspiration to those around you. Whether in your family, your community, or your workplace, your surrendered life radiates the power and love of God, drawing others toward their own destinies. But the impact of surrender goes beyond the immediate. It creates a legacy that lasts. A legacy is not just about what you accumulate, but about the lives you touch and the values you instill in future generations. When you live in full surrender, you lay a foundation of faith, purpose, and integrity that your children, grandchildren, and even those you may never meet can build upon. This legacy becomes a testament to the faithfulness of God and the power of obedience. In surrender, you participate in a divine story that stretches across time. Your life becomes a chapter in a greater narrative of God's kingdom advancing on the earth. This eternal perspective changes how you live daily. It motivates you to invest in what truly matters, to persevere through hardships, and to celebrate the victories knowing they contribute to something far greater than yourself. Full surrender is the path to a transformed life that fulfills God's purpose and leaves an eternal legacy. It is a commitment to live not for temporary gain but for lasting impact, knowing that every act of obedience writes a story of hope and faith that will echo through generations. This is the power and promise of surrender. It changes you, empowers you, and ensures that your life's work will never be forgotten. So today, I want you to understand this truth deeply. Surrender is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong posture of your heart. When you fully surrender to God's plan, you are stepping into a destiny far greater than anything you could orchestrate on your own. You're tapping into a power source that never fails, a wisdom that never runs dry, and a purpose that outlasts the stars. Don't settle for less by holding on to your limited plans. Release your will, trust His timing, and watch how He transforms your life, opens doors no man can shut, and establishes a legacy that will speak for generations. This is your moment to stop striving and start thriving in the fullness of God's design. Remember, greatness is not found in control, but in surrender. So rise up, embrace the power of obedience, and live a life so surrendered that the world cannot ignore the hand of God moving through you. Your purpose awaits. Step into it with boldness, faith, and a heart fully yielded.
We appreciate you joining us today. May the wisdom you've heard shape your vision, strengthen your faith, and lead you toward lasting success.